Hi, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about the ultimate Fiddle Leaf Fig Care webinar. I'm Claire Aiken with the Fiddle Leaf Fig Plant Resource Center, and I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know to keep your Fiddle Leaf Fig green and gorgeous. So first, I want to welcome you to the Fiddle Leaf Fig Plant Resource Center. We have tons of resources on our website at fiddleleaffigplant.com. We have blog posts, videos. You can buy Fiddle Leaf Fig plant food. You can get our new root rot treatment. We even have a soil for Fiddle Leaf Figs coming out soon. And you can save on the Fiddle Leaf Fig Expert book to learn everything that you've ever wanted to know about growing beautiful, healthy Fiddle Leaf Fig plants. So let me tell you a little bit about my story before we dive into the content for today. So I'm a writer and a gardener at heart. So I grow hybrid tea roses. I have dozens of houseplants, and I just love plants. I learned that from my grandmother and my mother. My grandma actually had a Fiddle Leaf Fig before they were popular way back in the 1970s. So I've always been a houseplant lover, and I'm actually a fertilizer specialist as well and a lecturer at UCLA Extension. I also have 2 little girls and a wonderful husband. So I created the Fiddle Leaf Fig Resource Center because I believe in the power of houseplants. There's something really special that happens when we grow houseplants and we're successful in doing that. It's something that's, difficult to learn. You can't just Google the answers. You have to have experience. You have to trial and error. Maybe your mother or your grandmother taught you this skill. And so it's just a really empowering skill. And when you learn how to keep your plants happy and healthy and have them thrive, it builds a lot of confidence, inside your house and outside of your house. And so I really want to simplify the confusing information that there is out there and help novice growers, because many of the people who buy a new Fiddle Leaf Fig, it's their very first houseplant they've ever owned. And so they're not sure what they're doing. And so I want to help novice growers to become confident in growing their plants and make things really easy for you. So before we move on, I just want to give you a coupon to save 25% on everything in our store. So you can share this webinar on Pinterest. And if you like this webinar, I really hope that you'll share it with others so that more people can learn. It's a free webinar, so all you have to do is share it on your Pinterest account. You'll get your coupon code, and then you can save 25% on all of our products when you buy at least 2. And you can buy 2 of the same product. So if you want the plant food, you could buy 2 bottles, which would be a 2-year supply, and you could save 25% on both. So let me show you how to do that. First, you go to fiddleleaffigplant.com/save, and then this is what will come up. So you'll come to this page where you can pin this webinar and save. And so you click to pin this item, and it'll open up your Pinterest account. It's really easy to do. And you can pin it on any of your boards. It doesn't really matter. If you have a houseplant board, that would be awesome. But I'm going to pin it to my home decor. So you just click Save. And then you go ahead and close this. And then what you do is you'll put your Pinterest username in here to get your discount. So you need to verify your pin and get your discount. So you go to Pinterest, and when Pinterest comes up, you will just land on this page. And what you do is you'll need to find your username. And so you go to this where it shows your profile and click on that. And this is your username. So you just copy and paste your username, and then you put it right in here. And then you can verify the PIN, and you'll get your discount code right there. And so it's really easy to do. I really hope that you'll share it with everybody, and that you can, have your friends on Pinterest to, benefit from this free webinar. All right. So first, I want to talk to you about how houseplants are mysterious and wonderful. So this is an incredible video that IKEA came out with recently, and these 2 houseplants are the same plant, and they receive the exact same care, but one of them was spoken to with negative words and anger and hatred, and the other was talked to with positive words and love. And so it's incredible. Strangers came up to these plants, and they either gave them hatred or love, and it really had an incredible impact on the way that plants thrive. And there's a really interesting book if you want to learn more about this phenomenon. It's called The Intention Experiment, and it has all kinds of data, scientific data, on how the power of our thoughts and our words affect plants. And so houseplants are more than just inanimate objects in our homes and offices. They really, they have some kind of sense of the way that we treat them and whether or not we care for them. So let's answer your most pressing question. So are fiddle leaf figs really hard to grow? So I want to tell you, no. There's so many gurus out there and people online, even top houseplant growers will say that fiddle leaf figs are hard to grow, and it's just not true. People on houseplant forums sometimes love to confuse people and offer too complex information. They're not hard to grow. They can grow very happily in a variety of conditions. This plant at the San Diego Zoo is over 60 feet tall, and it's growing in the wild. And in San Diego, it's a pretty arid environment. It's not a tropical rainforest by any means. It gets below freezing in the winter and it gets hot into the hundreds in the summer. And so this plant is thriving in those conditions with no humidifier or anything like that. So they're actually relatively easy compared to a lot of other houseplants. So what we're going to cover today is the benefits of your plant. We'll go over the basic care. We'll go over the 10 commandments of fiddle leaf fig care. And then we'll talk about the secrets to proper watering and drainage, common problems, how to treat them, the best fertilizer, and how to learn more. So let's talk about the benefits of your fiddle leaf fig. So first of all, it looks fantastic in your home and it's really striking. Designers use this plant all the time because of the white space that it creates around it. It's just a stunning, beautiful specimen. It actually purifies the air, removing formaldehyde and other chemicals and releasing pure oxygen. It increases the relative humidity in your home, reduces illnesses, improves your mood, boosts productivity, and a lot of cultures think that they bring good luck as well as financial gain. And I know from my experience, they bring less stress and greater happiness in your home. So if you want to learn more about these topics, I encourage you to read the book that I mentioned, The Intention Experiment, and also some great books about houseplants. How to Grow Fresh Air is one of my personal favorites, and this talks about how they used plants for NASA in the space station to purify the air, because the plants were able to purify the air even better than any technology that humans could come up with. The Botany of Desire is a classic, and of course the Fiddle Leaf Fig Expert if you want to know everything there is about growing a fiddle leaf fig. So let's give a brief history of fiddle leaf figs. So they're native to West Africa. It's very hot, very sunny, very tropical there. They're actually a member of the mulberry family, and they grow a green fig-like fruit. It's not delicious like a normal fig is, but it looks a lot like a fig. So animals eat it, but it's not really edible by humans. But that's why it's called a fiddle leaf fig, is the giant fiddle-shaped leaves as well as the figs that are grown as fruit. The fruit typically doesn't grow on houseplants because they don't get mature enough. It's actually a killer in the wild. So the way that the seeds will grow is they'll start at the top of a different plant in the rainforest, and it'll grow its roots down and actually suffocate its host plant. So be careful. If your fiddle leaf fig gets really big and starts reproducing, you don't want it to kill your other houseplants. I'm just kidding. So fiddle leaf figs didn't really get popular until the rise of Pinterest. So back in 2009, Pinterest launched, and all of a sudden there was an explosion in fiddle leaf figs. People couldn't get them into stores fast enough. They were selling out everywhere. You couldn't even order them online. And that's all because of Pinterest and the way that designers use fiddle leaf figs in their beautiful styled photo shoots. So let's talk about the basics of care. So how do plants work? I'll take you right back to your high school biology class. Let's go over the basics. So plants work by photosynthesis. That's like our metabolism. They get energy from the sun, and they also bring in carbon dioxide from the air. They use water to also combine with chloroplasts to do their photosynthesis, and it releases pure oxygen. And so they clarify the air, and they also produce leaves and fruits and flowers by using photosynthesis. So let's talk about the anatomy of your fiddle leaf fig. So first of all plants have leaves. All plants actually have fruit too to reproduce, although your fiddle leaf fig will likely not grow fruit in your house. They only typically do that in the wild. Fiddle leaf figs also have flowers, so they're actually kind of a dark purple flower, but you typically won't see that in a house plant either. They have stems and, of course, their root system. So the roots, the stems, and the leaves really work together to form a healthy plant system. Only wild plants have flowers and fruit, and your roots, your stems, and your leaves have a spiral of sickness or health. So if you actually have any disease in your roots, you'll see it come out on your leaves. So it's important to take a look at your plant on the regular to make sure that the leaves and the stem look really healthy. So what do they need to thrive? First of all, they need lots of light, and we'll talk more about that later, but they really thrive in very, very sunny environments as long as they don't have direct sun burning their leaves. They also need carbon dioxide, which is no problem because it's abundant in supply in all of our air that we breathe. They need water, but not too much water, just the right amount. They also need nutrients to grow strong. So they do grow relatively quickly and they have relatively large leaves compared with other plants. And so they need a lot of nutrients to grow. And finally, they need love and attention to really thrive. So let's talk about the 10 commandments of caring for your fiddle leaf fig. First of all is providing proper drainage. I see all the time, I get tons of emails each week from people who buy a fiddle leaf fig and they put it in some kind of a beautiful container that has no drainage in a dark corner of their house. And their plant immediately starts dropping leaves, getting black spots, and developing root rot. They have to have proper drainage. When you think about a plant in the wild, they have unlimited drainage because the topsoil just freely drains down to the bottom of the soil. And so they constantly have continually perfect drainage. But in a pot, we're basically containing the plant and the root system, and they have one little tiny hole for drainage. So we want to make sure that we don't water too much and that they have, as you know, a light houseplant soil, and they're allowed to freely drain. The second one is not to drown them. You know, when we really love our plants, it's common to overwater them. I used to kill all of my plants when I was little because I loved them and I'd water them all the time and their roots would sit in the water and rot. And so it's important to, you know, practice restraint when it comes to watering your fiddle leaf fig and don't drown them. They need a lot of light, so give them light. So where's the best place to put your fiddle leaf fig in your house? So if you're in the northern hemisphere like I am, I'm in San Diego, you really want to put it in a south-facing window. So this is going to get the best location for all-day sunlight, but not too much strong afternoon sun. So the way the sun works with your house is in the early morning, the sun is not very strong, but in the afternoon, it's a lot stronger and it can cause intense heat. So if you were to place your fiddle leaf fig in an east-facing window, it wouldn't get very many hours of light and it wouldn't get very strong light. So that's not your best option. If you were to put it on the west side, it would get a few hours of sunlight, of really intense sunlight, which is good, but you never want that strong direct sun on its leaves. So the best is in the south where it gets all day sunlight, not too strong. But that said, I will say that I have fiddle leaf figs in north-facing windows where they get all day indirect sunlight and they do just fine there. So it really depends on, you know, the size of your plant, the size of your windows, how much light is coming in, how, you know, what's outside of your windows. Do you have a canopy or a pergola outside your windows, or is it direct sunlight? Do you have a lot of tree cover in your yard? So it really depends on your unique situation. So you can experiment and just take a look at, you know, the different areas of your house where you could put a plant and see where they do well. A lot of people say you can't put them in a north-facing window, but I have one that has done beautifully there for many, many years. So accept the loss of older leaves. I get emails all the time from people sending me pictures like this one saying, oh my gosh, my fiddle leaf fig dropped a leaf. What do I do? This is normal. If your plant is actively growing, it's also going to be shedding its lower leaves. The way that you know that it's normal leaf loss is if it's near the bottom of your plant. And so those are the leaves that it's naturally going to shed as it grows into a more tree-like shape. So as long as the rest of the leaves look good and as long as it has new growth, don't worry about it. And also give them humidity. So this is particularly important if you live in a dry climate, or say you live in Arizona or the desert, or if you live in a place that gets really cold in the winter where you run the heater all year. You may want to add a humidifier to your plant or group your plants together in the winter. And so the ideal humidity for a fiddle leaf fig is between 30 and 65%. I live in San Diego where it's pretty arid and I don't do humidifiers for any of my fiddle leaf figs, and they do just fine. So as long as your plant is thriving, I wouldn't worry about this, but if you do live in a really dry area or if your humidity drops because you're running your heater, you may want to add a humidifier. Treat problems immediately. So like I said, there's a spiral of sickness and health. So as soon as your roots start to have a disease, it's going to show up in the leaves of your plant, and that can actually kill your plant in a matter of days or even weeks. And so if you have something like this, which is root rot, you may want to treat it immediately so that you don't lose any leaves and so that your leaves aren't damaged, because unfortunately, these brown spots that happen as a result of root rot, they'll never recover. That leaf will be damaged forever. So as soon as you see a problem, treat it immediately, and you can use our root rot treatment that's shown here to stop a root rot infection in your plant. repot when needed. So here you can see a root-bound Fiddle Leaf Fig, and this happens when they don't have any room to grow, and so it's searching for nutrients and it's searching for space to grow. So you'll want to repot this, into a larger pot, maybe 4 inches larger in diameter, and then add new soil all around. But this really only needs to be done, I would say, every 2 to 3 years. And if you have a very large Fiddle Leaf Fig that you can't repot, or maybe you've reached your maximum size, you can do what's called top dressing, where you remove the top 4 inches of soil and then you add fresh soil. And actually, if you have a large plant that is stuck in a pot and you like the size of the pot, you don't ever have to repot. You can just keep fertilizing your plant and it will maintain its size. But if you're looking to grow your plant larger, then you do want to repot every 2 to 3 years. Feed them properly. And so this is Fiddle Leaf Fig plant food. I'm very proud of our product. We developed it specifically for Fiddle Leaf Figs to meet these requirements. So it has 3% nitrogen, 1% phosphorus, and 2% potassium. So nitrogen really feeds and protects the root system. Phosphorus really protects the leaves and helps it grow. And potassium is for the metabolism to do photosynthesis so that it can, take energy in from the light and be really healthy. So this plant food is specifically designed to be used every single time you water, once a week. It's completely safe and it's designed particularly for Fiddle Leaf Figs. Use the proper tools. So when you get a Fiddle Leaf Fig, you are going to want to get a couple other tools too. One of the things I like are pruning shears so that you can shape and prune your plant. And we talk about that more in the Fiddle Leaf Fig course and in my book. A moisture meter, which is really helpful to tell if your roots are too wet or too dry. Also, most moisture meters have a light meter, so you can check your different locations in your house to see if there's enough light for your plant. So I definitely recommend picking up one of those and learning how to use it. And then a plant caddy, so you can move your plant around, you can rotate it so that it grows evenly. I recommend turning a quarter turn once a month to keep your plant even so it doesn't get lopsided. And you can, of course, move it to a more sunny area or to the bathroom to take a shower. And check on your plant every week. So it's really important to check on your plant once a week. And I always do Fiddle Leaf Fig Friday. You can hashtag Fiddle Leaf Fig Friday on Instagram and share your picture of your plant to win a copy of our book. So check that out and join us on Instagram. But on Friday, I water all of my plants. I check on them. I remove any damaged leaves. I maybe use a moisture meter to check the moisture level. And then I fertilize all of my plants as well, because our plant foods are designed to be used every single week safely. So the biggest threat to your Fiddle Leaf Fig, believe it or not, is overwatering. I get hundreds of emails every single week, and I would say 80% of them are overwatering and plants that have root rot as a result of overwatering. So you really want to make sure that you, water carefully and always err on the side of watering less. Can you tell the difference between over and under watering? So a rare case is actually a too dry Fiddle Leaf Fig. I don't see it as often, but this plant, somebody left it for 3 weeks while they went on vacation and their apartment got very, very hot. And you can see it got completely scorched and it's not going to recover, unfortunately. And this plant on the right-hand side is a plant that got overwatered and got root rot. And so you can see a very typical fungal root rot that starts at the base of the leaf, and this is due to overwatering. Sometimes I get questions about people that don't know if they're overwatering or underwatering. So let's go through kind of the details to find out. So if you water more than once a week, your plant is probably overwatered. Is the soil wet to the touch 1 inch below the surface? You can stick your finger in and find out. If it is, it's probably overwatering. If your plant has dark spots or edges, this could signify root rot and too much water. Are there flies or a musty smell in your plant's soil? This definitely means too much water. So if you don't have adequate drainage and you're watering once a week or more, I would definitely say it's overwatering. You want to cut back, let your plant completely dry out, maybe go 2 to 3 weeks without watering it, and then start on a really consistent basis. Underwatering signs are also listed below. So are the newest leaves smaller than the existing leaves? This can sometimes mean lack of fertilizer or lack of water. Is your plant dropping leaves? This is typically thirst, and so you just want to take a look, and if your plant is dropping leaves that don't have any brown spots, this is caused by thirst. If they do have brown spots, it may be overwatering and root rot. Does your plant have yellow leaves? This is a sign of underwatering and also a sign that it's starving and that it doesn't have any fertilizer. And so if it has yellow leaves, you are going to want to fertilize it and make sure that it's getting adequate water. Is the top inch of soil very dry? Your plant may be thirsty. And has the soil pulled away from the pot? This means your plant has gotten way too dry in the past and you're actually going to want to repot it. So this is what's called erratic watering, and I'll show you a picture of this. So you've probably seen this before, but if a plant actually, the soil pulls back from the sides of the pot, this is caused by completely drying out. And then what happens is if you do water your plant, the water just goes down through the edges and around your root ball, and it doesn't actually soak through to your root ball. And so this is erratic watering. It causes a very compact root ball that will not absorb any water. So I really recommend loosening up your root ball, starting over, repotting with fresh soil, and making sure that you water consistently in the future. So what's the right way to water your Fiddle Leaf Fig? I recommend weekly waterings, maybe on Friday so that you remember, and letting at least 15% of the water drain out the bottom. So make sure you have good drainage, of course, and let 15% of the water drain out, and then check it again in a week. Use a moisture meter before you water, and then go ahead and water it. And so using a moisture meter is a great way until you're confident to make sure that you're not overwatering or underwatering your plant. When you use it, you want to really stick it into halfway down your pot and about halfway between the base of your trunk and the outside of your pot. And so check what it says. It should be a number 4 or less if you are about to water it. So don't water it until you get a reading of 4 or less. Make sure you have properly draining soil. So we're actually coming out with a new soil for Fiddle Leaf Fig plants that will be available soon on Amazon. But to make yours in the meantime, you can use normal soil and mix it half with cactus mix. And this is a great way to lighten up your soil so that it drains well. So when you feed your Fiddle Leaf Fig, you want to make sure that you do it every single week so that you don't forget, because the problem with houseplants is that people feed maybe once every few months and then they forget and their plant starves for months. And so you want to make sure to feed a great fertilizer, high quality, with an NPK ratio of 3:1:2. Avoid any urea, which can burn your plant. And our Fiddle Leaf Fig fertilizer is really designed to be used every single time you water. It's safe and it's effective. So after 3 years of testing, we created this product. We tried a lot of the different popular fertilizers for plants like Miracle-Gro, Super Thrive, and we did side-by-side comparisons with Fiddle Leaf Figs, and this by far was the winner, and this is our custom formula that we worked with a botanist to produce. So it's the perfect formula. It has no risk of burning your plant, and you can use every time you water. Save 25% on a 1-year supply on Amazon by sharing this webinar, and the details are down below. So here's some before and after pictures of our Fiddle Leaf Fig fertilizer. So you can see just within a couple of days, this plant put out tons of new leaves. So if you're really looking to grow your plant, if you're looking for more growth, I recommend picking up the fertilizer. So, and you can find it on Amazon. It's Amazon's choice. It has tons of great reviews. We've been really blessed to have a lot of great support surrounding this product, and I hope that it helps you in your plant. So let's talk about the main concern that a lot of you are here for, which is root rot and Fiddle Leaf Figs. So your plant may be dropping leaves, or it may have brown spots, and that is telltale signs of root rot. And so if you have a leaf that looks like this, you really want to treat it quickly to save your plant. Unfortunately, root rot can kill a plant really within a matter of weeks. And so this is a plant that somebody brought home. They put it in their garage. It didn't get any light, and it was overwatered, and it dropped all of its leaves within a matter of a week or so, and those won't grow back. And so they're probably going to have to start over with a new plant, which is really sad. So the problem is when you come home with a plant, a lot of times it'll all of a sudden show up with signs of root rot, even if you don't overwater it. And that's because the growers that grow Fiddle Leaf Fig plants are actually giving it chemicals and fungicides to prevent root rot in all of their plants. So as soon as your plant goes home from the store, it's very vulnerable and susceptible to root rot because it's been getting all of these treatments, and all of a sudden those treatments go away, and so any little thing can make your plant sick. And so it's a really crucial time to water carefully and to take really careful care of your plant. So there's a lot of different types of root rot in Ficus lyrata or a Fiddle Leaf Fig, and so that's one of the reasons when we were coming up with our root rot treatment, it made it very difficult for us to come up with a treatment because there's bacterial forms, those fungal forms, and it's really difficult to determine the specific type of root rot in your plant. So there's no way without a microscope to figure out really without a shadow of a doubt which is which, and so we needed a treatment that could treat all kinds of root rot funguses and bacterias. And so that's why it took us so long to come out with this treatment. And also, as I mentioned, I have two little girls. You can see right when my youngest baby was born there, I didn't want chemicals or fungicides or toxics things in this treatment that I was going to use in all of my houseplants. And so I didn't want those things in my house. I'm sure you don't want them in your house. And so it was really difficult for us to come up with a non-chemical, non-fungicide, natural root rot treatment that worked. But I'm happy to say that we've done it. We're so proud of this product. It doesn't have any chemicals. It doesn't have fungicides. It treats a broad spectrum of things that cause root rot and fiddle leaf figs, and it helps your plant boost its natural root immunity. And so you can save 25% on a 1-year supply. You can actually use this on all of your houseplants, but it's specifically formulated for fiddle leaf figs. So if you have any signs of root rot, I recommend picking up a bottle and treating it. You can mix it with the fertilizer, and so it's 1 teaspoon each per plant. You mix it in at least 2 cups of water and water your plant once a week with both of these, and you can keep it in tip-top shape. So in closing, I just want to go over the most important trick for helping your fiddle leaf fig thrive. And that's something you may not have thought of, or you may not be familiar with, but it's actually bonding with your plant. And so this is a picture of one of my rescue plants, Bruiser, that I got on the clearance rack at Lowe's locally here. And I believe it was like less than $10 that I picked him up for. And he's thriving. He's huge now. I should update this slide with a new picture because he's like 4 feet tall. But the thing is, when you name your plant and you start bonding with your plant, you will be amazed at the growth that happens. So naming my plants is something I started doing years ago, and I noticed that one of my fiddle leaf figs that I never gave a name to was constantly sick. It was dropping leaves, it had brown spots. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it because it was getting the same care as my other plants, but I hadn't named it, and so it was really incredible. I named him Clyde, and I put him outside to recover. He's doing great now. Now he's my biggest plant. And so I don't know how it works. I don't know why it works, but I promise you, if you name your plant and you bond with it, you check on it every week, you really show it some love, you will have so much success and you will have a happy, healthy, gorgeous fiddle leaf fig. So if you want to learn more, there's a variety of ways that you can join us to learn more. I encourage you to join us on Instagram or check out our Facebook group. We have almost 10,000 members and people share their content. You can post a picture of your fiddle leaf fig and other experts will chime in and give you advice. So check us out on our Facebook group. And you can also order a copy of the Fiddle Leaf Fig Expert. We go through everything here, some advanced strategies, pruning, shaping, cleaning your leaves, propagation, and everything you really want to know. So this is available in a Kindle version and also on the paperback version too. You can shop the Fiddle Leaf Fig store. So this is a great place to get plants, to get baskets, pots, soil, treatments, tools, accessories. So just click on Shop Now on fiddleleaffigplant.com and you can go through all of the favorite products that people have let us know are their very favorite products for their Fiddle Leaf Figs. And then you can become a Fiddle Leaf Fig expert yourself by taking the Fiddle Leaf Fig course. We talk about a lot of different things in this online interactive video course. You can learn about fighting root rot naturally, aerating your plant, which I highly recommend, repotting it, pruning it into a tree shape, propagating it to clone your plant and grow new plants to give away as gifts or to get more plants in your herd, notching to encourage new branches, troubleshooting insect problems, treating brown spots, and much, much more. So check out the Fiddle Leaf Fig course and enroll below. And like I said, you can save 25% on everything by clicking below, share this webinar on Pinterest, get your coupon code, and when you buy 2 products, you can save 25% on everything. So go to fiddleleaffigplant.com/save or click the link below to save 25% on everything. I really hope that you enjoy the products. We're always working to come out with new products and to bring our prices down. So let us know what you think about the products, leave a review, and we're always constantly trying to lower our prices and improve. Thank you so much for joining us. You can ask a question in the chat box. And we really ask that if you enjoyed this webinar, you go ahead and share it on Pinterest. Follow us on social media with the links below, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us and happy growing.